Well, no, she's not finished. Things to do there. We don't have to do our thing this time. Right, okay. With that change, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Everyone in favor? Second. Second. Motion's been, moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carried unanimously. We don't have anything here from the public? We're from the public? Skip that. Communications, we'll start with Keith.
All right.
Well, big.
Yeah, I hate to say it, didn't quite get there last month. We were trying to get 200,000 and keep that streak of, 1 through 5 months alive. And we didn't make, we got 186,000, which, we were projected at 98. So we looked at that number, it makes it feel really good. And it's 36,000 over what we did at the prior year. So that's just super. Round wise, kind of staying the same. Like 200 here short, but I will confess to the board that I figured something out in the last week. With our new point of sale system, we had to train all of our employees, right? I thought I had everybody trained perfectly. When you do a prepaid round, okay, so the prepaid round, you book it online, it's prepaid, we get the money. I ring that money in the next morning, and then when the customers come, we check them into the T-sheet. Okay, so when you check someone in, you can click on the check mark, and that gives them a blue check mark, and it looks like they're checked in. But you need to go one step further and click on the shopping cart and take them through the shopping cart, even though it's a zero transaction. You got to take them through the shopping cart. And then once it's through the shopping cart and you close the order, then it counts as an official round. Everybody follow that? Almost all of my staff followed that perfectly. Almost. So 2,938 rounds that I spent the last week ringing in as I went through every day's T-sheet to find all those rounds that weren't counted. Now there's 0 rounds, we got the money, so it's not about that. But I couldn't figure out why our rounds were so low, and that was it. So now all of a sudden, as we near the end of October, I'm back up over 37,000 rounds now. So as you can see, if you look at the actual rounds, 31,005, well, boy, I had a good October, didn't I? Well, that's why. So I'll try to get Danny, if she can, in her spreadsheet to spread those out over the summer months so it looks a little bit more realistic. But anyway, we're doing a little better on rounds now than we were. But what a great year, and this month we're doing real good too. We I think we just went over 100,000 for October as of today. Hopefully we'll get a few more, 3 or 4 more good days in, and maybe get to that 113 that we got to last year. That would be great. And although it looks like the weekend is going to let us down starting on Friday, but we were due to get some weather. But it's been a great year. I can't say enough. If I don't get to see the board again this year, I can't say enough about the golf course this year and about the job Ryan and his crew do with a 46-year-old irrigation system. My math is correct. Then 46? Yeah. Okay. I think about it a lot. So anyway, with an irrigation system that old, to have a golf course in the condition that we had it in all year, thanks to Ryan and his guys, just can't say enough. We had our invitational here, the 14th and 15th of March. The sheer volume of amazing feedback from out-of-town golfers was off the charts. So it was great. Huh? The October one. Yeah, the March one, of course, it was a little rough in March, but the October got great feedback. So can't say enough. Any questions at all for Twin Peaks?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Right. Kind of in the same boat there with the way Keith has been saying it. Projected for Sunset revenue wise for September was 52,720. Actual came in at 68,351. Rounds projected at 3626, actual was 4300. And unfortunately for the weather this weekend, it'll slow us down, but yeah, it's just still been super busy. Saturday nonstop, all open to close. Sunday, sure it was the same way, and today even still the same. He said it all, the golf courses are fantastic. Absolutely, Brian and Dan also, I'll say that because I've been out to you a couple times to get some lessons. Courses are just perfect. So I'm short and sweet. Anyone got questions for Sunset?
I have one comment. I played Sunset Monday, Friday
Friday.
with two other adult seniors and a senior woman. So of course, I had to start asking about the course and all that kind of stuff. And so finally at the end, I said, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate everything? Because the lady sells foods was out there, and he said, or they said, well, how about a 9? So I said, well, on a scale of 9 to 1 to 10, that's pretty good. I said, but why not 10? And he said, well, you know that tree on 6? They said, up on the left-hand side, it's got a great branch that comes out. Just need to take that off. So, whatever
That
that's
is
worth.
the number one complaint for players
But
in
I'm
all age brackets, because that branch just sits there right on the corner and just wants you.
right.
If that, but I will tell you this though, you get rid of that branch, it will significantly make that hole a lot easier.
Oh,
And then once that tree officially, like eventually goes, that hole will no longer be a tough hole.
right.
Because that tree is the target line for a lot of players.
For sure.
But I know the feeling though, all too well. I believe on Thursday I smoked that tree. And I came back with.
Anything else for Sunset? Hugh Creek?
Yes.
Yeah, more of the same. It's been a great year. There's a great September as well. Turning out to be great October. The weather's been amazing. And the rounds certainly show it. Revenues for September, 249,000. Puts us year to date through September at 1,887. And for the month, 24,000, and the year, almost 200,000 ahead. Prior year, which is great. Then the rounds, which I think we're reading them in correctly.
Well, if you need a lesson,
Thanks, Keith.
if you need a lesson, just let me know. I'll come over and I'll tell you what, it's like reading code now. I can pull up a sheet and
I'll give you my password, you just go after it.
I don't think.
By our rounds, we're at 36,916 through September, which is 551 ahead of prior year. I think that number's correct, but I'm kind of looking out and maybe just go back and make sure our staff is getting it done correctly. I'm pretty sure they are, but I guess it's worth a check when I have time. I ran the numbers for October, and month to date, we're at 145,000, which for Ute Creek, we have reached a milestone. We're over 2 million now through October, month to date. So it's great year. Course is in awful shape considering it. No, I'm just kidding.
It's fun.
These guys don't make too much. No, of course it's been great this year. Yeah, industry, and online as well. We have more of the same. Very, very good.
Thank you. Any other questions? On the 3 pros? You do a fantastic job. Okay. Next is old business. And update on the bond.
Ryan, you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. So I'll start with giving an update on the irrigation bond project. So we're getting closer and closer to the project physically starting. We have a pre-construction meeting scheduled this Thursday morning with ACC who's doing the work. We're gonna get a lot of information on when they're gonna start, or know for sure when they're gonna start bringing in equipment and parts. So a lot of information this Thursday, I'll know a lot more about, but right now I've heard that they feel parts are gonna start showing up next week for Twin Peaks. And, also I've been told they're thinking of starting in Sunset come the week, next week also, with the replacing the irrigation heads, and we have a small box, or not box, small stash of sprinkler heads from when the project was originally started. So we're thinking of starting that project and then, hopefully have Sunset wrapped up on before Thanksgiving. But I haven't heard of.
That part of Sunset.
Yes.
So,
So that would just leave the remainder part of Sunset of the pump stations being reworked with pumps and motors. But I haven't heard any confirmation that, they're gonna do that for sure. It's all depends on whether the one crew is up in Copper Mountain, the other one's up there in Ferguson. So it all depends on what the weather does up in the mountains when they come down here. So beyond that, everything is moving towards the direction of what's gonna get started soon. We'll know a whole lot more on Thursday morning when they're here to share what they know with us. So if everyone has any other questions about that project?
No questions? The next thing is direction.
I can talk about the creek maintenance facility real quick too. It's part of the old business. So we got moved out of our facility off of Highway 66 on September 12th through the 14th. We got all of our stuff out of the house, all of it out of the garage, both garages, and we're moved up to the middle area by the clubhouse where we kind of originally decided or wanted to go and then got shut down. So we got a temporary trailer up there. We got a big area of fenced in so we can have all our equipment and a couple of mini mobiles to store all of our tools. And our mechanic has a little work area in there, which he also works out at Sandstone Ranch. So we can have a concrete floor and lift and all that. But so yeah, we got moved out, got going. The construction company got all their stuff moved in there, and then came the asbestos abatement, and we hit a big snag again. So we're waiting on the asbestos people to get their permit or their license with the state expired right before they were supposed to start our project. So we've wasted about 2 weeks of perfect weather, and then the construction guys are sitting down there, we're sitting, the whole place is empty and nothing's happening. So it's kind of the way it's been going, but hopefully we can get somebody else in there, or they will have their license by, they hope to have had it Friday, but I don't think it's happening. So we're probably gonna get somebody else in there and try to get rolling. So yeah, because it'll take a good 2 to 3 weeks to get all the asbestos stuff out, and then they can flatten then the fire department wants to come in and do some training in the house and all that, and then they can flatten it and dig it, start digging footers and all that. So yeah, it's kind of the way it's working, but it'll get there.
Any other old business? Okay, we'll go on to the new business, and we'll go to B, which is discuss 2024 Athens membership. I mean, I'm gonna turn that over to Jeff.
yep. So in your packet, you should have information for the 3 courses, what it costs for our current rates in 2023, and what the new rates would be if we raised anywhere between 5, 8, or 10%. Also in your packet, Danny had done a really nice job of calling other golf courses to kind of get a comparison of what they have available for their passes and memberships. And one of the things that you really see in that information is nobody does things the same way. So it's virtually impossible to compare apples to apples on any of the different products or opportunities that we provide. So we, as a staff, would like to propose to the board that we look at 8% increase for passes and memberships for 23. We went back and looked, and we believe that the passes and memberships have not been increased since 2018. And so it's really time that we do that. The price increase should probably be more than the 8%, but we feel like that is a fair amount to raise things at this point in time, and that we would bring rates back for you for 2025 and have this same conversation with you next year. So does anybody have any questions or comments or?
Back in 2018, how did you raise the rates? What was the change?
I don't remember the percentage, but it was
Was it around 8%?
it was not even close to, I would say it was close to 3 to 4%.
And did you see any sort of decline in rounds played or?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the past, they've not, I'm sorry, they've not kept up with our increase in green fees.
Right.
On percentage wise, so 8% is actually very conservative.
Oh, actually, no, I'm right on board with it. So,
Yeah.
I was curious about it.
The other thing that I should probably mention is that if we, I met with John last week and he made a suggestion of what's the number of passes that we currently have for 2023. That number's around 900 with a total revenue amount of just over $400,000. So although this is a very important component because the amount of money that we bring in is not, it doesn't really show how many rounds, because I think the folks that take advantage of passes and memberships are really playing their hearts out. And so, again, $400,000 is not a lot of money, but there are a lot of people that are, have those that, again, are playing a lot of rounds.
Yeah, just to the side, I'd probably save $100 per year. For the, I can see it when it was, I don't know, 140, 45, whatever.
Right.
But I'm curious to myself, you know, and so that's $100, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks for doing the pass over.
Well, we can drop that. No, and that's really, it's really there for those folks that want to play a lot of golf. And I think they are, and, you know, it's a good product. I think it's a fair product for those people that are really committed to Longmont golf, and but I do think the 8% is a fair increase.
Any discussions from the board further about that? From the board members? If not, then we have to make a motion to raise the passes 8% for 2024.
So one question I have is, from reading the other places as well that David put up, was there any thought of doing a range punch card, which I saw on some of the new ones?
We do, I know we do. Do you do that here? Yes, we do that both here and at New Creek. And
Just wasn't sure if we did that or not.
Yeah.
There is 10 punch and 30 punch. And then those will be going up too. As range rates go up, we'll start give in those.
I just did see that
Those
on,
range passes.
I didn't see that on here, and so I wasn't sure.
When we talk about this pass, we're talking about all the passes, right? In here and then
All across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Can I have a motion to raise passes 8%? For damn more than 8%. Do I have a second? Motion's been made to raise the pass 8% for 2024. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Anything else, Jeff?
I would, this is more of an item from staff, but would like to, if we take a few minutes this evening to kind of follow up what we talked about at the last time that we met. And trying to make sure that staff is bringing things to you as the board that you feel provide value and make it worth your time to be on the advisory board. I think that, what came out of last time's meeting that passes the memberships was a part of that, but what other things can we bring to you that you would like to see in the months to come?
It's gonna be valuable to me, Jeff, because just today is my anniversary, I'm here.
So, yeah,
Are you spending the night here or? Really?
I don't want to one up that, but I spent my 75th birthday at city council meeting. That's how I celebrated last Tuesday night or the week ago Tuesday. So I'm just saying, we're all making sacrifices.
On my birthday, I met with Jeff,
yeah,
and I turned 85.
yeah.
Wow.
All right, any other discussions from staff?
Rick has,
I don't mean to put Councilman Waters on the spot there, but what does council want from this?
Well, good question. I don't know that I can speak for council. I can speak for me, sure, right? And I've been sitting here, weighing, should I say what I'm about to say? But since asked, I'm gonna say. I sit on, as you, in the role of council, you get assigned to serve as liaison, right, to boards and commissions. And there's a learning curve that goes with that, right, in terms of what would I bring to any of these, and what should I take back to council? So part of the role is just keeping council members informed, so that's part of my job. What I've always wished, or honestly, that the boards and commissions that I've liaisoned to, would have higher expectations for the not that these guys aren't doing a great job, but for how it's supported by the city. Not just the golf board, the library and what the library board does, the museum and what the museum board does. And what I was weighing about whether or not I should say this, one of my objectives, maybe it wasn't an objective, one of my aspirations when I ran for council was to see that New Creek got finished, right? I mean, I had this conversation with Sam, when I was volunteering at New Creek and running for city council. So I don't know if I owe anybody an apology, but I was unsuccessful in making much progress other than we have a design that was funded at $400,000 and some odd a couple of years ago.
and we only spent about 60 of that.
Oh, okay, maybe there we go. So is any of that left in an account?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Because at the time, well, I'll leave it at this. When we built this year's budget, and by the way, every year I've recommended to the city manager, and I'm not being critical of the process. I understand how the process works and health and safety issues and, all of the competing priorities that go into building the city's budget. But this year in particular, kind of the mantra for building the budget was, let's not introduce new things until we finish things that we have started. And I've said, and I'm on the record publicly, gee, the one project that started in 1995 and is yet to be finished is the U Creek Clubhouse, right? So whether you all support, moving forward that or not, I do think that in addition to advising staff, there are times where if you have expectations for the operation for the city, you ought to be out front on those, right? When the bond question, when this group was asked whether or not you'd support the 2018
Yes.
Yeah. bond question, I was liaison here, and my recommendation was you say yes to that with a qualification. We would support that, and we'd like to see you finish the U Creek Golf Course. Right? So these guys aren't in a position to advocate. They're gonna get asked about budget priorities. And you're not, your role isn't as advocates, you're as advisors. But every once in a while, if there's a gap between reality and aspiration, I don't think you should be bashful about saying, why would we not see more progress on this? And I understand across the city, I've heard it from people to say, well, my priorities are screwed up because I give voice to, we ought to finish that project. My response is, I think in 1995, the city said we're going to do this. And there's something about keeping your word. And 30 years later, now 20 years later, maybe it's time to do that. Not just on that project, on other projects in the city and some of the parks and greenways and the kinds of things that are left undone. So I would love from time to time to hear from advisory boards express what your expectations are for the city and for the kinds of attention and the kinds of resources that, in this case, our golf courses deserve. I've raised, and we went through the budgeting process, just Sam, so you know. I was told this time that probably that's not gonna happen until we find a restaurateur that's willing to do a public-private partnership. And I said, yes. I asked that 6 years ago. Would you be interested in a public-private partnership? I'll go out and find somebody, and then that was part of the conversation with Sam, because I didn't want to squeeze him out of one of his revenue streams. Ways to put that together that would work for Sam, work for U Creek, work for the community. But on the east side of town, I don't think that's an extravagance. I think that is keeping good faith with what we said we were going to do in the development of a golf course around which a bunch of housing was permitted, with the expectation that the golf course would be where the clubhouse would be finished. So thanks for the question. Didn't know what I might do with that, but I don't think you ought to be reticent to express your expectations, and don't lay it on these guys. Put it together. A board chair shows up to a public invited be heard and shares what your perspectives are. Other boards and commissions have done that. You see items, whether you agree with what's on the ballot right now in terms of the 3 ballot questions, the municipal ballot questions, every one of them's there. Partly because an advisory board said, there's a standard we ought to be meeting and we're not meeting in terms of how we resource the library, what we need in terms of a recreation package. Parks and Rec Advisory Board was very soon, and I'd like to think I helped with that at some point. We haven't had that conversation here, but I hope you keep that top of mind going forward. And this will be my last opportunity to do that speechifying, right? So I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tim.
Well,
Thank you for your service.
so hopefully I didn't get you in trouble.
Not yet.
I've tried to get him in trouble more than once. I'm running out of time.
So what was passed in 1995?
In 1995 is when the U Creek Golf Course was approved.
By council, but I don't believe there was a vote for that. I believe that it was based on revenue bonds to pay it back.
Well, those were the days where that's pre-taper.
Yes.
You didn't have to have a vote on it. You could do a revenue bond.
Yes. Yeah.
But if you were to, so here's just your factoid, all right, to keep in the back of your mind. In 1995, I don't know who, I think it probably was the museum that took the lead on creating a time capsule for Longmont. And anything that anybody thought was worthy of recognizing 25 years later, let's put that in a time capsule. So there are a number of things, artifacts that went into the time capsule. 25 years later, that time capsule was opened. And one of the artifacts that somebody thought was so important to put in there was the brochure on U Creek. What had been approved, what the public could expect, right? It was a high enough priority, it was a big enough aspiration, people were excited enough about it to make it one of the most important documents to take a look at 25 years later. I happened to be there. I'd already been in this conversation with Jeff and Harold and others, and Sam about finishing the work. And I didn't know this was in there. Time capsule opens up. And one of the documents that was pulled out was the information brochure on the U Creek Golf Course. and what an addition it's gonna be to the community and what the clubhouse and the golf course was all gonna mean, to the community. And I thought, you know what, 25 years later, that was 2 years ago, right? 25 years later, we hadn't finished the project that was important enough to remember in the town council. 3 years later, we're in the same place, other than we have a design. So I might still try to beat that drum as a resident on the east side of town. But if I haven't made much progress as a council member, I'm probably gonna make much progress as a golfer and as an advocate for it. So that's one of the regrets, maybe, that we didn't get that done, but.
It was exciting to think about it, and it really went. I appreciate all your efforts.
Yeah, one for one.
I mean, but you got the ball rolling. We go out to design, and maybe once we complete all the other projects, maybe that's another happening for us.
So as a board, here, listen to that. The ball rolled a little bit, right? Half the roll. The only way it's going to keep rolling is if you all take an interest in this, right?
Because otherwise, it was so far outside out of mind. Now it's back online.
So one last thing, John. So if everybody could be just thinking about things that would help provide more value, things you would like to hear, and then at some point in time, talking about the number of meetings. We had gone to every other month for a period of time. We aren't scheduled to meet in November, December. If you want to do that, we certainly can meet more often, but that's up to you all on whether you want to do that. Or we can wait till January, have the conversation then, and decide how often we want to meet moving forward.
I think it's usually one of the agenda items, the first meeting in January, probably, we should have a meeting started, be good time to discuss it.
Okay.
Anything else from the staff? Thank you.
And thank you, sir.
Items from the board. Board? Well, in that case, yes.
Well, I was gonna say, I would like to know, because I know we saw the designs and stuff like that. I think of all the things that a nice facility would bring to the community besides golf. I mean, weddings and conferences and all the things that happen with our beautiful backdrop. I would like to know how we could put more pressure, or at least keep it in focus.
And one of the things that Jeffrey talked about in the meeting last week, and I brought up too, was exactly what Ann was just saying, and I said, if people like this room could be used more for something other than golf. And we started talking about it, it looked like it was a really feasible thing to be able to do because of all the other stuff going on, et cetera.
Well, as an example, today I had to kick people out of here today for this meeting. So, if we had another room that was bigger, or if that was built out there and that was partitioned off and we had a way to do that where we could get more seating. But it's a small room. We had a couple weddings here that, if you have a wedding that has more than 55 people involved, you can get 55 people in here very comfortably. It's a really nice venue. So for small things, we do quite a few of those. But overall, it's just not big enough. So as you talk about design at New Creek, that design, I'm sitting here going, that'll be nice. As I'm listening to the description of how that's going to turn out. But this place, more often than not, I'm telling people, I'll get calls to rent it on a fair amount, but the priority has to be the golfers. Because if the golfers come up to the golf course and they want to come in and they want to gather and have a drink and have something to eat, they need to be able to do that. And if this is always locked up for all the different events, that's not fair to the golfers. So I've always made it the priority is the golfers first. Now in the wintertime, we definitely welcome more events, but unfortunately, very few folks get married in winter.
And the design of the clubhouse has taken that into account so that we would have a place for golfers as well as, event people.
It was pretty neat last year. I was away on vacation, got a call from some wedding event planner and their venue blew up on 'em. And I literally worked with this lady and we planned a wedding while I was on vacation and they did it while I was away. And it went off perfectly. It was unbelievable. But again, it was a small one and it was in early December.
A lot of things happen here when you're in.
No kidding.
No, he was on vacation, when the fire happened as well. I remember calling him in Hawaii then. Yep. Jeff, what
What
did
did
you
you
do?
So one more word, if that conversation stays alive through next year, the way other boards have expressed their interests or concerns to council is through a resolution. Right, and it is something that staff can help with, right? That whoever is your liaison could help get on an agenda, not just public invite to be heard, but a resolution from the golf advisory board. Whereas we made these promises, whereas we do not have, especially on the east side of town, but I would say, you know, you ought to think about all the facilities, just as we were just hearing about, you know, the possibility of uses here. I know the next time I'm gonna be here, it'll be with a bunch of golfers, but not for a meeting like this. That's gonna be with payoff on our fantasy golf field. It's gonna be a lot of beer and pizza.
I'll be in Jackets.
We got a date set yet for that. So-
Usually happens, a week before the meeting's over.
So think about maybe putting your temper file, note to self. When you come back in January, when would be the appropriate time? I can tell you what would be between January 1st and April 1st. Because the first budget discussion is gonna be first Tuesday in March, or first Tuesday in May. He's gonna be asked for his budget recommendations during the months of March and April. You know, if that's something you're interested in, by resolution, at least you can express yourself and let people know. You'll be paying real close attention when budget presentations are made and your questions you'd like to certainly get the answer as those are made.
Anything else from the board?
Just a quick one, how did Thursday Eagles Crew Golf Day, it was in front of you, Keith, but people in front of you were really slow, so,
Oh, it's great.
was it good?
Oh, yeah.
They thought it great.
And slow is wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, when you get, you know, I don't get to spend a lot of time with these guys, and two of the guys are my old Sunset buddies that, you know, Ryan and I spent a ton of time together. We've never actually played golf together. So to spend, as far as I'm concerned, it could have been 4 hours I'd have been here. So the speed of
Well, that
play,
could help,
the speed of play was perfectly slow,
perfectly slow.
and it was wonderful. It wasn't bad, but you know,
Everybody had a good time.
everybody had a great time.
That's what I want to hear.
We had a luncheon and golf on Thursday for all the maintenance staff to celebrate a good year and thank them for all the work that they did. Somehow Keith got in there, I'm not sure. But no, also Keith and Sam and Ryan really don't get recognized enough for all the work that they do with the golf courses, and none of it happened without them. So thank you to them as well.
Just make note, city council members were not invited to this. Let's go.
Cool, thanks.
Anything else from the board?
Well, I'd like to say 2 things. One, this year has been an honor for me to be the chairman. I've certainly enjoyed it, and I've learned over the last couple of years so much about golf that I didn't know, that's for sure. So I want to thank all of you very much, and anything else? And is there a motion to adjourn our last meeting for 2023? The motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn our meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving.
Festivus.